I've always had a good relationship with my husband's family until I got pregnant. I've been with my husband for 8 years now, and I've had a really good relationship with his family, but I recently got an A. My husband and I are child-free, and they were not supportive of it. My husband's family and his relatives would call me and convince me to not A the baby. They called me all kinds of names and tried to guilt-trip me. I had to get into therapy because of how much I was traumatized. My husband had cut off his family because of the way they treated me during all of these things. My sister-in-law called my husband a week ago crying, asking him if she could stay at our house for a week with her daughters. She was getting divorced. My husband said no because he wasn't going to be at the house. He was attending a funeral, and I would be left alone with her. She said she would not create drama or hurt me. My husband's 14-year-old niece called him and begged him to let them stay. She moved into our house. My sister-in-law's 6-year-old daughter threw my makeup palettes on the floor and ruined them. My sister-in-law found it cute. I was talking to my husband about how I missed something that he had cooked for me. My sister-in-law heard it and asked me if he always cooked for me, to which I replied yes. She got mad at me because I was treating her brother as a slave, but I never told my husband to cook. He loves cooking. My sister-in-law also broke a plate that my husband hand-painted for me, accidentally. This happened 2 days ago. My husband had gifted me 365 bath bombs because I take showers when I get stressed out, and it was an anniversary gift. My sister-in-law's 14-year-old daughter took 40 of those bath bombs. I had put them in the laundry room because I didn't want to keep all of them in the bathroom, and just drowned them in the water because she was bored and wanted to play with them. I asked her if she asked anyone's permission before doing it, and she said no. I told her that the bath bombs were special to me, and she shouldn't be wasting them like that. She then said, "Don't tell me what to do, B." I didn't know how to react. She then runs to her mother, tells her that I was screaming at her. I didn't raise my voice, and tells her that I told her that it was my house and she can't have fun in my house. Also never happened. My sister-in-law went off on me because I told her that her daughter was lying and told me she had raised her children well. She told me that I shouldn't be telling her daughter what to do in her brother's house. She then brought up my A, my mental health, my childhood, and told me that a heartless woman like me, who K'd a baby, will never understand how kids behave, all in front of her children. I called my husband and told him about everything that happened, and he told my sister-in-law to leave the house. She was screaming and crying on the phone with my mother-in-law. My husband's whole family thinks that not only did I take their grandchild from them, but also got my husband to hate his sister enough to kick them out of the house. I don't know how to handle this. Everybody is calling me or texting me to tell me how immature I am for telling my husband and being upset over bath bombs. But I'm not upset about bath bombs, but about how my husband's niece talked to me. I need some advice. First of all, he's not cutting them off because of you, but because of them. They sound like horrid people, and I would happily do the same and kick that B and her 2 brats out. It's clear to see why she's getting divorced. Stand by your man the way he's standing by you. You will need to block phone numbers and maybe seek legal advice. I have to ask, why did his family know about you getting an A in the first place? You're both child-free, so surely there was no reason to tell them. Regardless, bottom line is that your husband is the one who needs to handle his family. Your title said he's cut them off, so good. They don't deserve to be in your lives if they can't act respectful. Like I said, I was very close to them. I called up my mother-in-law crying about how scared I was because of the A, as I hate going to the doctors for anything. She tried to tell me how I'm K-ing her grandchild. I stopped talking to her, but then she told everyone about it, and they started to emotionally blackmail me into keeping the baby. Wow, I don't think you need any advice actually. Your husband is solid as duck, and he's made the right call by cutting them all off. I'm sorry you had to go through that BS. Don't feel guilty about this. They did it to themselves by being huge a-holes. Block them. Also, as far as that niece goes, she likely talked to you that way because her mom is crappy about you. When I was younger than the niece, my dad was mean to one of our aunts, so I started being mean to her too. I would think 14 is old enough to know better, but maybe not. Don't take it personally. You didn't do anything wrong. Drop these people and try to move on as best you can. Background. My mom, 65 female, has 5 kids, including me. I'm the only girl and the youngest. The 4 boys, 40 male, 38 male, 34 male, 34 male, are all her husbands, 67 male at the time. She admitted to having an affair and that she was pregnant with me, 30 female. I'm not sure if they got divorced before or after I was born, but the man my mom had the affair with is named on my birth certificate as my dad. They never got married, and they didn't stay together after I was born. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 16 years old in a motorbike accident. All my siblings and I grew up together, and they saw their dad every other weekend. The same weekends I saw my dad. All 5 of us are close, and we talk every week, if not more often. None of us are that close to our mom, as she has alcohol issues that have led to some pretty severe mental health issues. She can be very destructive. My husband, 34 male, got me the DNA test as I wanted to know more about my dad's side of the family. Obviously not thinking my dad wouldn't be my dad. He's done his, and we were planning on doing our kids when they are older. Well, it was a shock when I opened the app and found that the DNA match that had a high likelihood of being my father was my sibling's dad, mom's ex-husband. Only 2 of my brothers have done it as well, and they are listed as possible full siblings. I have tried to contact mom, but the only response I got was, "Oh," and she hung up. She now won't answer the phone if I ring her. I told my brothers, and they are happy. They are trying to get me to talk to their dad. I didn't know how to tell him, so they told him for me. Apparently, he's furious with mom, but excited to have a biological daughter, a son-in-law, and 3 extra grandkids. He sent along his number and said that he's ready when I am. My husband has talked to him, but I'm not ready. I don't have a clue how to deal with this. I'm happy to have an alive parent that can be an active grandparent to my kids, but I'm devastated that my dad isn't my dad. Relieved that he's not alive to witness this. I just kept swinging between happy and sad. How do I explain this to my, not now biological, dad's family? How do I explain this to myself? You don't ever have to stop considering your father as your father, just because the DNA isn't there. Once you are ready, call up your father's family and tell them that you have something to tell them. Tell them that you love them, you still consider them family, but that a recent DNA test that you did to see more about your ancestry has revealed that he was not in fact your biological father, and that even though it changes nothing on how you view them, you felt they had a right to know, and hope that it doesn't change the way you view them. You may also want to let them know that you plan to pursue a relationship with your biological father. But again, reiterate that it doesn't mean you're replacing him or diminishing his role in your life, because no matter what happens now, he is the man that raised you. I am black, Afro-Caribbean, and my fiancé is white, British. My sister is refusing to attend our wedding as I am marrying outside of my ethnicity. Now, a bit of background. My and my sister were both born in London, but spent a small amount of time in Trinidad when younger, but mostly lived in England our whole lives. I always consider myself to be English, but am proud of my Caribbean heritage. My sister and I were extremely close growing up, and I always considered her my best friend. Unfortunately, my sister suffered from quite horrible B as a teen. I was always there for her, and eventually it stopped. It made us much closer than most siblings, because I always tried to support her. Growing up, I dated different guys of many ethnicities, and this seemingly never bothered my sister at the time. I met my future husband at university and fell for him from day one. He is from a small town in Kent, southeast England. I was nervous at being introduced to his family, but they have been nothing but lovely. Now, the initial meeting with my family went fine. My sister never said anything untoward, but was quiet. This isn't unusual. She is very quiet as a person. So a lot changed when she went away to university. She came out of her shell a lot and also became incredibly politically active. This mostly was due with some pretty big shifts in British politics at the time. Unfortunately, as time went on, her views became very extreme. When she came back to visit, politics was the only talking point for her. She would have highly aggressive debates with my mom, who disagreed with her on an election in 2017. At the time, I thought this was a phase, but it just got worse. My fiancé proposed to me last year on a holiday to Germany, and I was delighted to say yes. When I returned home and told my family, my parents were delighted. My sister's reaction was the polar opposite. She was dismayed, telling me I shouldn't marry a white guy, listed off some BS reasons. The argument ended when I reminded her that she dated a white guy in school, and she stormed off. I have tried repeatedly to ask my sister to attend. I don't need her to approve. I just wanted her to understand she is important to me, and I want her there. She is refusing to even talk to me at the moment, and it's making me very upset. I don't understand what's caused her to have this attitude. I realize the realistic answer is that she won't attend, and I just need to accept that. Is there any way I can persuade her otherwise? I would say don't try anymore. There's a good chance that if she comes to your wedding, she'll cause a big scene, probably stand up when they say, "Is there any reason against why this couple should marry?" Assuming they still do that. and go on against white British people, etc. Leave her out of it so you and your future husband have a nice fun wedding. She is completely in the wrong. Don't invite her for any reason, even if your parents really want you to. This is you and your fiance's wedding, nobody else's. My girlfriend has relatives that went on vacation. We agreed to watch their dog while they were gone. The first day, the dog started barking a lot and seemed stressed about staying in our apartment. So we decided that my girlfriend would take the dog back to its house and she would stay there with the dog until the family got back home. After her staying at the house for a few days, I came over to see her, the dog, and the family's house. When I got there, it was me and my girlfriend out in front of the house about to go in. A neighbor walked over to say hello to us, but also seemed like he wanted to know who these strangers are outside his neighbor's house. I was friendly, said hello, and explained that this is my girlfriend and her relatives are out of town and that we are watching their house, dog, while they are away. The neighbor said, "Oh, I see. But what about the black truck that was in the driveway last night?" I immediately looked at my girlfriend and said, "I don't know about that." She looks back at us looking confused and said, "I don't know about that either." We sort of all brushed it off, said goodbye to the neighbor and went inside. In my head, I'm concerned because the neighbor thought there was a vehicle in the driveway last night, and I can't help but think that a black truck is stereotypically a male vehicle. I decided to give my girlfriend a few minutes to see if she would bring it up. If there really was a vehicle in the driveway that she didn't know about, I would think she would be freaking out and say something right away. She didn't mention anything. So after a few minutes inside, I brought it up again, and she said she didn't know what the guy was talking about. I didn't have any evidence, so the convo got dropped pretty quick. I don't know if there was someone over at the house with her or if I'm just being paranoid and what the neighbor saw is just a misunderstanding. Unless the neighbor was lying, and he has no reason to lie, then there was a black truck in the driveway last night. How did she react when you brought it up again? How did she react the first time? Ask her why the neighbor would lie about that. She didn't seem fazed by it and was just like, "Oh, I don't know." But I have the feeling that this neighbor, middle-aged male, probably a dad and has been living in the neighborhood for years, knows everyone in every car on the street. I just have a feeling he'd know if there was a strange vehicle in the driveway when my girlfriend was there. Edit. Some of you mentioned it sounds like I have trust issues, which I do. I have been living with my girlfriend for 8 months, and we have been together for much longer than that. A few months ago, we were sitting on the couch with our phones between us. Her phone got a text, and my eyes automatically looked at the phone that lit up. I saw that it was from a male name that is highly unlikely to be unisex. Let's say I saw her texter was Justin. She grabbed her phone right away and started replying. I asked, "Who was that?" as she's texting them back and says, "Oh, it's just Kelly." When she said a name not what I saw, I told her that what I saw looked like a guy's name. Now, I want her to show me who that text was from to give me some peace of mind. She kept saying that I should trust her and that she doesn't need to show me her phone. Because I'm not going to physically take her phone from her, I dropped it. I feel like wanting to see the text after she told me she's texting a girl when I saw it was from a guy is reasonable. Also, I don't have any issues with her communicating with other guys. I just don't like her lying about it. Update. Last night, I decided to drive back to the relative's house without telling my girlfriend I was coming back to the neighborhood she's house sitting, so I can ask the neighbor more about the truck. If it was in fact in the driveway and how long he saw it there. Tell him I am concerned for the safety of my girlfriend if there is a stranger staking out the house, and I am going to file a report to the police. Because I wasn't sure which house the neighbor came from the day I talked to him, I was preparing myself to start knocking on doors until I found him. When I pulled down their street, I realized I won't be needing to find the neighbor. At the relative's house, I see my girlfriend's car in the driveway, and I couldn't believe it, a black Tacoma pickup truck. I pulled over on the street outside of the house, take out my cell phone, and start calling my soon-to-be ex as I'm walking up to the door. No answer. I send her a text and keep calling. Still no response. I start ringing the doorbell and open the storm door so I can bang on the front with my fist. About a minute later, the door cracks open, and I see her peeking out, sobbing with tears rolling down her face. I gesture towards the truck in the driveway and said, "There's someone in there with you, isn't there?" She just nodded, still crying, and said, "Mm-hmm." I didn't know what to do or say. In my head, I burst through the door past her to find whoever was in there. But I just stood there. All I said was, "We're done. Goodbye," and walked back to my car. I spent the rest of the night and this morning packing up my things. After getting feedback from my original post, I asked my cousin if it would be okay if I came and stayed with him if I needed to. So that is where I'm heading.